In response to youth agitations that they're being excluded from decision-making in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu announced the federal government's intention to convene a national youth conference this year. Among other mandates, the conference is to promote involvement of youths in the country's development. Among areas of priority slated for discussions during the conference are political governance, economic transformation, skills for the future, artificial intelligence, climate change, energy transition, social cohesion, and security. Now, just last month, the president inaugurated a planning committee for the conference, assuring them of government's intention to implement its outcome. Well, that will be on the banner this morning on Panorama. And meanwhile, the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, joins the world to mark this year's World Health Day, applauding health workers' contributions to advancing global health care. These issues are up for discussions. Thank you for joining us on Panorama. I'm Ruth Aguilera. A year-long campaign focused on maternal and newborn health is the target for the nations in 2025 to end preventable deaths and prioritize women's long-term well-being. Elizabeth Omoriyi, who was part of a health work in commemoration of the 2025 World Health Day, reports that WHO urges nations to accelerate actions to save more lives through integrated health services.
As 2030 crawls in gradually, reducing maternal mortality ratio is expected to be less than 70 per 100,000 live births. As 2030 crawls in gradually, reducing maternal mortality ratio is expected to be less than 70 per 100,000 live births.
We apologize for that glitch there in that report. Still on the World Health Day, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on stakeholders and other Nigerians to work towards creating a world where mothers can safely give birth and children can live healthy to reach their full potential. She made the call in her message marking this year's World Health Day with the theme, Healthy Beginnings, Hopeful Futures. The First Lady, who notes with concern that far too many women and newborns lose their lives daily due to preventable complications during pregnancy, childbirth, and postnatal period. She insists that no mother should have to risk her life to bring a child into the world, and no newborn should be denied a fair chance at survival. She also congratulated all health workers for their great sacrifice to make the world a healthy place. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed 85 deaths from cerebrospinal meningitis across 22 states. The NCDC says it has therefore activated a national multi-sectoral emergency operations center to coordinate the country's response efforts. According to the NCDC, Week 12 report covering March 17th to 23rd, 2025, the worst-hit states include Yobe, Jigawa, Bauchi, and Zamfara, accounting for over 90% of confirmed cases. The report also shows that 93 local government areas across 22 states have been affected, with 49 local government areas reporting at least one confirmed case. The NCDC says control efforts are being complicated by several challenges, including low vaccination coverage, inadequate healthcare infrastructure, delayed healthcare seeking behavior, and limited access to laboratory testing. Speaking on the situation, the Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, emphasized the agency's commitment to tackling the outbreak, adding that since October 2023, 1,625 people have been infected, and efforts are underway to improve coordination, mobilize resources, and ensure a rapid, data-driven response across all affected states. Dr. Idris is also urging Nigerians to take preventive measures, such as avoiding overcrowded spaces and seeking prompt medical attention if symptoms like sudden fever, headache, neck stiffness, and vomiting occurs. Let's turn to other issues. Management of the National Teachers Institute has been urged to prioritize timely distribution of all required course materials to students and establish a tracking system to ensure compliance nationwide. Presenting the NTA with Savicom Compliance Evaluation Report at its headquarters in Kaduna, National Coordinator of the Savicom, Mrs. Inena Akaje Meli, commended the NTA for integrating technology into its processes. Let's hear details from Kenneth Nanim.
Savicom has selected 10 state offices and study centers nationwide for a Savicom Compliance Evaluation Survey, and the result shows that the institute is keeping pace with modern trends and driving towards excellence. Presenting the report to the Director General of NTA, National Coordinator of Savicom, Mrs. Nena Akajemeli, commended the NTA for deployment of ICT components to centralize its operations in line with global best practices.
This is in tune with the sign of times because they are training our teachers who in turn train our students in the primary and in the secondary school. Therefore, they are now more professional and innovatively they are preparing and working very hard so that the quality of learning and capacity building for teachers is upgraded.
Represented by the Acting Registrar, Mrs. Zainab Garba, the Director General of the NTI reaffirms the Institute's commitment to a sustainable improvement following Savicom assessment and pledges collaboration with Savicom.
So we have been abiding year in, year out by their identifiable weaknesses, and we have been improving on those, and that is why we are where we are today.
It was also agreed that NTI management should liaise with institutions where BDPs and PGD programs are affiliated for prompt release of results and certificates. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Electricity customers without meters would soon have relief as federal government is to take delivery of first batch of 3.2 million meters procured to bridge the metering gap in the country. A statement by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, says 75,000 meters under the International Competitive Bid 1 is expected this month, while the second batch of 200,000 meters will be received in May this year also. Federal government says metering installation is progressing with more than 5.5 million meters so far installed as of December 2024, representing 55% of registered electricity customers. Also, another initiative under the distribution sector recovery program is expected to deliver more than 3 million meters by 2026, which will be achieved through different procurement models to ensuring all customers are metered, thereby ending estimated billing in the sector. All right, at the start of the bulletin, we told you that the federal government has demonstrated commitment with a proposed National Youth Conference that will happen this year. We have a guest in the studio, Mr. Oluwatobi Daniel Ojo. He's a youth advocate and he will be sharing his perspective on what to expect from the conference. Good to have you, Mr. Daniel Ojo.
I'm happy to be here. Good morning.
Great. Going by the federal government's demonstration that, yes, we want to carry the youth along, we understand their concerns and we feel their pains. What do you make of the National Youth Conference that is proposed, or slated rather, for this year?
Thank you. I would say it's relevant and timely. There are a lot of agitations, a lot of concerns that are yet to be addressed. And if you look at the trend of agitations from the NSAS protests of 2020 to the End Bad Governance protest movement of 2024, there are real agitations, there are real concerns, and it is good that we have a president who has decided to be proactive by deeming it fit to call young persons to a table to dialogue. So I think it's important that we have this at this time.
And of course, there are issues slated for discussion, you know, from economic transformation, political, political interest and all of that. What would you say, from your perspective, should be the focus, aside what has been slated? Beyond what you know has been slated, rather, what other aspect should be there for discussion?
Yeah. So there are key areas, or I'll say domains, that have been identified as priority areas, you know, education, skill acquisition. But I think top of that list should be security. Right now we have...
Security is part of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it should be really crucial. I think it should be top of the list, as I mentioned. Okay. We must consider the impact that security has on every other indicator of every other domain where development is measured. So security, also youth unemployment. It's very important that the government takes a very active and leading role in creating the enabling environment that would result or translate into the generation of more jobs. A lot of Nigerians are employed, yeah. When you look at the unemployment rate, they're paid at times at 7%, 8%. But the real problem, I think, is underdevelopment. We have a lot of young Nigerians that are willing to work, that are qualified to work, but they are engaged, but not meaningfully or up to the level of their abilities and capabilities. So I think it's important that we look at these areas very keenly when we have the national conference. And
I want to believe, Mr. Daniel, that the skills for the future, which is part of issues to be looked at, is, you know, the focus for the present administration. We're seeing interest demonstrated in the aspect for skills acquisition, especially digital skills. But if you're talking about how a lot of youths who have shown interest that they want to get these jobs, but they're not equipped, don't you think self-development also is required from these youths to make them self-employable?
Yeah, it's true. But the thing is, when we're considering how interested people are and how limited they are also, it's important that we pay very keen attention to the situation or the circumstances that surround our youth. We're in a country where we don't even have steady electricity. Now, most of these skills for the future, let's talk about coding, let's talk about robotics, let's talk about AI. They require that you have access to good electricity, you have access to the internet. So the government still has a role to play. People are limited by a number of factors, and these are the issues that we will discuss at this year's National Youth Conference.
So information, they say, is power. Where these opportunities are, do you think youths are leveraging it, you know, taking advantage of it? Because the opportunities are there if you look deep.
The thing is, you're going to have a fraction of the population that are not going to leverage what you make available, you know, and that will always be the case. But I think it's important that the government provides first. The government improves upon what has been built. The government also increase or enhance access to these resources. Like I mentioned before, the government has to do better in the area of providing, you know, steady power to people. More homes and more areas must get electrified is very important also. And generally improving the quality of life of people. I think that would enhance the number or increase the number of people that can leverage these resources lying about, just like you mentioned.
So let's not preempt what will happen at the National Youth Conference. But from your perspective, what kind of, which area rather should be area from the country, youths I'm talking about now, should be selected? What kind of youths do you want to see there? Should it be drawn from the general public or people who have a stake? What are you thinking?
I think everyone should be at the table. When the president announced this, he said he's going to do the selection. The presidency will do the selection in close consultation with the youth through our representatives. Now, I think that is a smart way to go about it, but it's important that this time we look outside of such, I would say, conventional cycles. You know, the National Youth Council of Nigeria, the National Association of Nigerian Students, of course, they are representative bodies of youth in this country, but I think it's important that we also look at those that have, you know, been studying socioeconomic issues that pertain to youth development in Nigeria. I think it's important. Also, a lot of attention must be paid to young persons in rural areas. For a fact, they feel very heavily the impact of some of these drawbacks that we have as a country when it comes to insecurity, when it comes to the unstable nature of the economy and all. So I think the government must look at research think tanks, especially those led by young persons, also persons with disability. It's important that this conference brings everyone to the table. I'm talking about full-scale inclusivity. So, just speaking from every stratum of our demographic. I think it's important we do that this time.
And talking about promoting inclusion, which is what the youths are canvassing for. Thank you very much, Mr. Oluwatobi Daniel. Thank you for your time on Panorama.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. The Nigeria Police Force has expressed concern over reports that a group known as the Take It Back movement is planning a nationwide protest this Monday, April 7, 2025, coinciding with the National Police Day. The day set aside by the federal government to celebrate the resilience, sacrifice and dedication of officers of the Nigeria Police Force. While the NPF affirms its respect for the constitutional rights of citizens to peaceful assembly and expression, it views the timing of the protest as questionable, given that National Police Day is expected to attract dignitaries from within and outside the country, including foreign inspectors general of police and diplomats. The protest is perceived as an attempt to undermine the event and tarnish the image of the Nigeria police and the nation. The force urges the organizers to reconsider the planned protest. It advised all parties involved to explore lawful and constructive avenues of dialogue through the appropriate channels of government, rather than engage in actions that may disrupt national unity and the celebration. The Cross River State Police Command has debunked rumors making rounds, especially on social media, that the Nigeria Police has neglected the upkeep of victims injured by a trigger-happy police inspector a few days ago at the Atakpa Police Station, Calabar. The police public relations officer of the command made the clarification while speaking on the issue. Paul Abel has more for us.
Giving update on the situation, the PPRO revealed that the culprit has already been dismissed from the police force as legal procedures have been followed, while the AIG Zone 6 also visited the two injured victims at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital and the bereaved family immediately the incident occurred.
We, the police, are always here for you. There's never a day or any time we neglect the victims of that incident. As at the time the incident took place, immediately the AIG in charge of Zone 6, AIG Mustafa Bala Mohammed, went on that very day to the incident ground where he visited the deceased family.
And with the deployment of a new police commissioner to the state, the PPRO stated that follow-up visits with support to the parties along with medics have also been conducted.
He ordered me that I should be in the hospital, which I did. I met the wife of the victim. I spoke to her directly and I also gave support, which the CP ordered me to do.
The police spokesperson also appealed to the media to verify information before publishing, especially on social media.
The media world, media space, let's verify issues before we just go out there and say things that are not supposed to be said. The police is trying their possible best.
She promised to continue to update the media on the issue. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has reaffirmed the NAF's strong commitment to deepening strategic partnerships with friendly nations, as well as key players in the aerospace and defense sectors, saying it is part of efforts to transform the Nigerian Air Force into a more resilient and agile force capable of addressing Nigeria's evolving security challenges. A statement by the Director, Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, indicates that this was during a visit to Brazil to participate in the Latin American Aerospace Defense Security Fair held in Rio de Janeiro. Air Marshal Abubakar held high-level meetings and discussions centered on enhancing the operational and technical capacity of the NAF, particularly in sustaining the A-29 Super Tucano aircraft fleet and other platforms in its inventory. The engagements also focus on fostering collaboration in pilot, technical and logistics training, as well as research and development initiatives. The Air Chief's visit to Brazil forms part of a broader effort to deepen global partnerships in line with the NAF's 2025 strategic objectives, which prioritizes enhanced operational readiness, force modernization, and international collaboration. To ensure that all involved in the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Highway are on the same page as the project progresses, the Federal Ministry of Works has organized a follow-up town hall meeting in Lagos. Larry Belay reports.
Minister of Works David Umahi stated that the engagement became necessary to ensure transparency in dealing with issues in realigning steps taken and to showcase the level of work on the road.
This is investment and this is commendable. And the third legacy project is the one that is coming from Calabar, going through my own state, through Enugu, through Benue, through Nasarawa, Kogi, Nasarawa, and Abuja.
It's a town hall meeting that everybody, all stakeholders, the property owners, the communities, the businessmen along the route, and discuss issues with the federal government.
The government, through these infrastructures, have been able to unleash the wealth of this corridor.
So we are almost around 15 to 20 kilometers out of 55 kilometers that are ongoing simultaneously. We have already achieved 2 kilometers on both sides with CRCP.
Community leaders used the opportunity to express satisfaction over the project. David Umahi stated that the stakeholders meeting is also part of the federal government's desire to ensure that projects with huge socio-economic benefits such as the Lagos-Calabar Highway are carried out, considering the interest of those affected. In Lagos, Larry Belay, NTA News.
And putting your health in check, let's not forget today's World Health Day. Earlier, we told you the WHO organized a health walk to accelerate action to save more lives. Let's hear from Elizabeth Omori.
As 2030 crawls in gradually, reducing maternal mortality ratio is expected to be less than 70 per 100,000 live births.
Some women, headache, all these kinds, small challenges of body pain, stomach pain, all these kind of things.
Critical actors in the health sector are optimistic that through universal access to sexual and reproductive health services, commitment to equitable, accessible and quality health care will reduce the prevalence of maternal mortality to the barest. Achieving this target informed this walk to raise global attention to extend life expectancy.
Health is an outcome to everything we do, and I'd like to commend the Nigerian government for taking the stage to really initiate action to accelerate reduction of maternal and neonatal mortality.
Now, local governments are expected to play active parts in this area of improving primary health care to ensure that more of our people continue to have healthy beginnings for a hopeful future.
Poverty and inadequate community health workers, they say, pose risks to healthcare delivery. They recommend political commitment to public health In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And sports is part of keeping fit and staying healthy. So let's do sports update.
Rivers United has narrowed the 5-point lead that Remo Stars had initially set at the top of the Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL) with a hard-fought victory in a crucial match held in Port Harcourt on Sunday. The match appeared headed for a goalless draw until Boluwaji Olumade scored 5 minutes before the end of regular time, securing a 1-0 win for Rivers United. However, Remo Stars still retains the top position despite having a game in hand against Lobby Stars. The battle for third place remains intense, with Abia Warriors clinging to the position with 50 points, keeping Shooting Stars in fourth. Shooting Stars had a chance to take third, but were held to a 0-0 draw by Ikorodu City in Ibadan. Sunshine Stars believe they could improve their standing after going up 1-0 against fellow relegation battlers Lobby Stars, but Lobby managed to equalize for a 1-1 draw, keeping both teams in the relegation zone. Currently, Lobby Stars sit at the bottom in 28th place, while Sunshine Stars are in 19th. Elsewhere, Sunday marks the beginning of the final round of group matches at the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, with several teams vying for spot in the quarter-finals and the World Cup. Some teams have already secured their places in the next stage and qualify for the World Cup in Qatar later this year, while others are still hopeful of advancing. Mali and Burkina Faso have both confirmed their spot in the quarter-finals after winning their first two matches. Mali triumphed over Angola with a score of 2-1 and defeated the Central African Republic 2-0, demonstrating strong teamwork and tactical skill. Lastly, as the Nigerian Judo Federation finalizes its team selection for the upcoming Africa Judo Championship, scheduled for April 25 to 28 in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, preparations are underway for a strong performance. The athletes not only aspire to achieve podium position but also hope to motivate a new generation of judokas in Nigeria. This event, one of the leading judo tournaments in Africa, will see top judokas from across the continent vying for success in the Ivorian capital. Amazongo, NTA News.
That concludes Panorama. Thank you for your time. Do have a beautiful day ahead. I'm Ruth Aguela.